I guess maybe I'm puzzled at how Washington views its budget and its budgetary policies. In Illinois, if I had $100 million positive balance in the road fund, which fuels our transportation programs, and I had a $50 million deficit in my operating general fund, which fuels the general operations of state government, I couldn't persuade anybody that I had a $50 million positive balance in my state budget. What does the federal government budget consist of? Why is it necessary to have these dedicated trust funds which can be spent for no other purpose in some kind of unitary budget with your operating funds to cloud the issue of the deficit and goad governors and mayors to attack Washington for not giving us our money quickly enough, and provoking these decade-long arguments between secretaries of transportation and the nation's governors? What does Graham Rudman have to do with gasoline taxes in a dedicated trust fund, and why can't we straighten this all out?
Well, Governor, I think you're raising an issue which is a very difficult one for budget process. The reason why the problem, I think, has arisen is that unlike what one would term the consolidated state budgets, the consolidated federal budget, because of the fact that they can essentially finance any amount of deficit that they want merely by printing bonds and making certain they sell in the market, because of that fact, there is a certain difference between the federal government's consolidated or unified budget than individual state budgets. I grant you that your example of the segregated funds within a state budget should not apply or should apply in the federal system, and indeed they do in a statutory sense, but from an economic point of view there is a difference, and it relates to so-called overall fiscal policy issues and indirectly to monetary policy issues, as we are involved in that financing of the federal budget. The problem basically is that in order to understand how the federal government impacts on the American economy as a whole, it makes no difference whether a surplus or a deficit is in the transportation account, even the Social Security account. What is important to the domestic savings structure of the American economy is that single figure in the unified budget. And in that sense, we are caught in a conflicting set of problems in which the processes by which programs are constructed and funded, which is the various different types of funds that we have in the federal budget, that process and the economic policy implications are really quite different and in part contradictory in the way which you suggest, Governor. And I must say to you at this stage, I'm not sure I know how to resolve that in a useful manner.